Hi everyone, it's Tanya and welcome to today's video. Today's video is another list of books for you and yet another TBR for the year. So January is just that month when you make plans for the year, when you create list of books that you want to read. It's just life. So one more list for you and me. Today we're going to talk about all the Russian classics that I want to read in 2020. We will start with the book that I already have, and then we will go to the books that I am yet to purchase, completely contradicting to my resolution to buy less books. But Russian classics, I have to read Russian classics. It is like I have to. Currently I have 3 books. The first book I want to talk to you about is Dr. Zhivago by Boris Pasternak. This book was on my 2020 classics TBR, but I didn't get to it. I'm going to prioritize it in 2021. This is going to be the year when I finally read Dr. Zhivago, because it's one of those texts which is so well known and everybody is talking about and everybody is reading, and I feel a little bit ashamed for not have read it before. We didn't study it at school. I don't know much about the novel, but from what I understand, it's going to take place throughout the years from October Revolution till the Second World War. And we will follow this young man who is a physician, but at the same time he is a poet. And it is said that Pasternak gave his best, most profound and most touching novels to this character. We will follow this character's life with his family and his struggles. He will have to move to the Ural region of Russia, which is like my region, my home region, where I come from. I don't know exactly which city he is going to be moved to. I haven't read it yet, but it's my region. So he is moved to the Ural region, and there he falls in love with this beautiful nurse, Lara. And at the same time he gets entangled in the conflict between the Red Army and the White Army. So that's all I know about the book. We will see, but I'm super excited to read it. Also because he had a very independent view on October Revolution, this novel was forbidden in Soviet Union, and so he had to smuggle it to Italy, and it was first published in Italy. Later he received Nobel Prize for this novel, but the Communist Party was offended by this prize and he couldn't go and receive it. This is like the story of the publication. This novel was forbidden in Soviet Union. And yeah, I'm super excited to read it. One more book I want to read, and which also was on my this year's TBR and which I didn't get to. I started reading it but I never finished, is Demons or The Possessed by Fyodor Mikhailovich Dostoevsky. This novel is about revolutionists. Dostoevsky belonged to a revolutionary organization himself. In a way, I guess it's influenced by his experiences, but also why he decided to write it. There was actually a terrible event that happened in Russian history when a young man who belonged to a certain revolutionary organization decided to leave it, and he was threatening his friends from the organization to go to the police and to report on them, and they killed him. That event caused a big social outrage and just social reaction, and Dostoevsky himself, he was deeply affected by the news, and so he decided to write. Initially it was supposed to be a short story. He didn't plan it as a novel, but yeah, as he started writing it, it turned into a novel, and quite a big one. The plot of the story is just that. We follow this revolutionary organization of nihilists with the head Pyotr Verkhovensky, and this organization is planning to raise an uprising in Russia. There is another character, Nikolai Stavrogin, and apparently he has his secret and his own sins and a tragedy, and I guess it's going to be some kind of confrontation with these two people. We will see. I haven't finished it. I was in the very beginning, practically beginning, where he is just introducing all the characters, so I didn't really understand what the plot was at that point. So yeah, my plan is to read this book this year, finish it, prioritize it, get to it. My mom finished reading it, and she told me, I didn't know it before, she told me that actually a lot of editions still to this day do not include one chapter. There's this one chapter which is I guess in English translation it would be at Tikhon's, or like visiting Tikhon, and that chapter is like the most important chapter of the whole novel. Like, this novel was written just for that chapter, and it was edited out during like Imperial Russia, it was edited out during Soviet Union, and even in our time I guess people just kind of forgot about it. And so, for example, my edition does not include this chapter. It is supposed to be either in the very end of the second part or in the very beginning of the third part of the novel, like, because novels in 3 parts. So my edition doesn't include it. However, I was lucky enough to find it online. Another book that I want to get to, and I'm super excited for in this year, because I found this stunning, just beautiful editions of the books, like Russian classics. This, have a look. Look at the spine, and also here at the front. And it also has beautiful illustrations, like here, and it has a lot of them, like lots of illustrations, and they are all just so stunning. So I'm super excited to collect these editions. This is Farewell to My Matura by Valentin Rasputin. I haven't read anything by Valentin Rasputin before. It's going to be my introduction to his works. But this novel sounds just so good. It sounds so fascinating, so interesting, because it's apparently is going to be about industrialization, because we will follow a story of this one village, Matura, which is supposed to be completely demolished in order to create this huge hydroelectric power plant. And people are supposed to be relocated and moved into a different city to live. But it is a village, which means that majority of people here are all elderly people, and majority of them are old. It's hard to make them move somewhere. They will have to change their whole life, obviously. Like elderly people, it's terribly hard for them to change something in their lifestyle. I guess it's going to be something about this industrialization kind of working on people and kind of smashing their lives. That's what I understand, because from what I understand from the synopsis, not everyone will be willing to move, obviously. And so yeah, it's about these people saying farewell to their home. At the same time, maybe it's going to be a novel about their lives. So yeah, Farewell to Matura. I'm super excited for this. And also these editions are just so beautiful, and they are actually quite cheap. This book was less than $10, because obviously I was buying it on a Russian website, and this book is in Russian. Less than $10. Can you imagine? Beautiful, beautiful. Well, I did have to pay for the shipping of course, but just the book itself, great. And now off to the books that I don't have. So as you might remember from my reading resolutions video, reading resolutions for 2021, I decided to make this year a year of Gogol. So year when I'm going to read all of Gogol's works. I will be reading his Taras Bulba for sure. I read it in school, but it was very long time ago and I need to reread it. Also, I need to read his Dead Souls. I've never read his Dead Souls. The idea for the novel was actually not Gogol's idea. The idea belonged to Pushkin. It was Pushkin's idea. Alexander Sergeyevich Pushkin, so Russian writer and Russian poet. It was his idea for the novel, because he was traveling around Russia in different regions of Russia, and he realized that certain genteel people who owned peasants, they often didn't register deaths of those peasants. So a peasant could be dead, but in the documents he would still be listed as an alive person, and that would make people whom he belonged to, they would look richer. They would it would make them appear rich, because one of the indicators of people's wealth was the amount of souls that they possessed, that they had. So they often didn't register deaths. And so the idea of Chichikov traveling around Russia and buying dead souls came actually to Pushkin and not to Gogol. However, Pushkin gave this idea to Gogol, so for some reason he just gave it to him. And then Gogol wrote the novel, he sent it to Pushkin, and Pushkin approved. He said that you masterfully captured Russian character, and you masterfully captured characters of different genteel Russian people. That Souls is Gogol's work that I need to read. Also Mirgorod, which is collection, I guess, of his short stories. And also a work that I didn't read by him is Peterburg's Novellas. Peterburg's Novellas is also another work by Gogol which I need to read, and I will be rereading his Evenings in the Village of Dikanka probably. One more book I want to read is The Golovlyovs, or Господа Головлёвы in Russian, by Saltykov-Щедрин. This is an account of a family story. In this book, Saltykov-Щедрин criticizes relationships that he often saw in the lives of his contemporaries, where even family ties are no longer very important, and relationships in the family were based not on love or understanding or support, they were based on business. And apparently in this book he shows how such attitudes to each other ruin family. So this book apparently is just a character study and relationship study, which I love such topics, I love such books, so I'm very excited for this novel. Another book that I want to read is by Bulgakov, and it's Morphe. Morphe is not exactly a book, it's more like a novel, from what I know, maybe a story. It's often published in his collection Notes of a Young Doctor. The translation would be something like that, I'm not sure, but like it sounds in English like. So Morphe tells the story of a young man, young doctor, who arrives in this Russian village to work as a doctor there, but then he becomes addicted to morphine, and it's a novel about addiction and struggling with addiction. Not novel, I feel like it's a short novella probably. One more novel which I'm very excited to read. It is also published in this same series, so I will be getting it in this series. Жизнь Арсеньева. So I guess in English it's something like Arsenos Life by Ivan Bunin. Some people call this novel the lightest and like the brightest novel in Russian literature. It's a story of growing up. This man recounting his experiences as a child, and then recounting his experience as a young man, all of his worries and struggles in different times of his life. Some suggest that it's Bunin autobiography, however he didn't confirm that himself. This book was written in the course of 10 years. He was writing it from 1920 till somewhere in 1930s. It was published in 1933 first. He spent a lot of time writing this novel, and just the description that it's one of the brightest and lightest novels in Russian literature makes me excited, because like I said before, a lot of Russian novels are very depressing and very sad. Yeah, I would like to read something. You know that I like novels about growing up, and I like novels about childhood and youth, so I feel like it's going to be a novel which I will love. One more novel which I'm so incredibly excited to get to and to read. It was recommended by one of actually YouTubers whom I watch, Russian YouTuber, so I don't know if you would be interested in watching her, because she is Russian, she speaks Russian, and she recommended this book, saying that it represents a lot of traditional Russian life before the revolution. I want to read books representing old Russian traditions and how people lived before, and all the like family life. This novel is also supposed to be, I guess, very light and bright and just something uplifting, because again it's a story about growing up. The book is Лето Господне, so I guess again I don't even know if it's translated in English, by Ivan Shmylev. Ivan Shmylev, I haven't heard of him before. She recommended him actually. The God's Summer, something like this. God's Summer. And yeah, like I said, it's a story of family, again genteel, I guess, Russian family, but very religious one, told from a story of this child growing up. Should be something just bright and kind, and something I think that I will enjoy. One more novel, also by Dostoevsky actually, is Selo Stepanchikova. I don't know the English name, so I will just put the picture of English, because I know it's translated into English, I just don't know the English title. Selo Stepanchikova is apparently a retelling of Molière's play Tartuffe, which I haven't read and I haven't heard of before, but apparently it's retelling but in a Russian context. And it's the story of this one despot is the English word, of this one kind of dictator, I guess in this one village, who is trying to get control of people's minds and people's bodies and just, you know, control their lives completely. But he himself is a dislikable character. So the way people describe him, he is scary and petty and helpless, but also aggressive and strong. So this type of person trying to control people's lives. Next novel I want to read is also by an author whom I haven't read a lot. I read some of his short works, but I haven't read much of him, and that is Maxim Gorky. Definitely need to explore more of Gorky, and I decided to start with his novel The Artemonovs Business. And this is apparently a story of, again, kind of family story, because the father of the family, after he finished his service in one of the rich Russian families, and after he was made free, he goes to live his life apparently somewhere else, and he creates a factory, linen factory. He is very close, obviously, with peasants who work on this factory and other workers, because he kind of comes from that generation himself, and he understands those people. However, he dies, and then his son overtakes the business, and his son hates those people. Apparently his relationship with them are very tense. He doesn't understand them. I don't know much about the novel, obviously, I haven't read it yet. So I guess it's going to be the representation of struggle between this new young man on the factory and all the workers of the factory, something like that. I will read and I will be able to tell you more and better about it. But so far I just want to explore more of Maxim Gorky, because I haven't read much of him. The last novel I included on this list is Resurrection by Leo Tolstoy. We will follow this young man, Dmitry Nekhludov. He apparently is going to the court to witness against somebody. As the accused, he sees a girl whom he few years back seduced and then left. For all of those years he has been trying to forget that incident. He has been living just like an idle life of a young, well-off man. When he sees her at the court and he learns her story of what happened to her, through how much she has been because of him, he realizes what he has done. And he realizes that he is just as much ruined, like in a spiritual sense, not in like society sense. In a spiritual sense, he's just as much ruined as she is. And the novel just shows off and highlights all the problems that the society had, Russian society had in the 19th century. So something like this, and it sounds great. So I'm very excited to read The Resurrection. There you have it, guys. 10 Russian classics that I will read in 2020. I want to make it a priority. This is like my 10 priorities of Russian classics that I want to read in 2021. Let me know in the comments if you read Russian classics. What are some of your favorite Russian classics? If you have any plans to read Russian classics in 2021, what are your plans? I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching. And yeah, I will see you soon in my next videos. Thank you very much. Bye.